What's good, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony, aka the Senator of Chaos and Controversy, and basically, this is a reaction video to a person who I'm subscribed to, Beau of the Fifth Column, and I did a reaction video before on a previous topic of discussion, but to how should I say elaborate on the video that I did in regards to General Milley and Matt Gaetz. Um, Beau has an interesting standpoint, especially when he talks about um, the Green Beret. I believe when Milley, is his point, and he was very respectful to Matt Gaetz, even though you can see the condescending mannerisms coming from Matt when he started to talk about learning about certain things in regards to the critical race theory and what's the harm in learning something, to educate yourself about something. There's no harm in that, you know. But Beau has an interesting take on this, and I'm gonna go ahead and play this.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So today we're going to talk about that exchange
Go
between
ahead, Beau.
General Miley and some people in Congress. There's a whole bunch to talk about from that very short conversation. I was actually in the middle of filming a video explaining the context of that line. You and I are both Green Berets, and what that really
Okay, I was
meant.
right.
And something else popped into my head, and that seems way more important than explaining a really good insult. I know a lot of special people, special forces, special operations community in general, true elite warriors, true warriors. They're incredibly diverse. They come from all walks of life, all kinds of philosophies. There's really only one thing that I can assure you none of them have ever said. Don't learn that.
Oh, dang.
That was an interesting point that he said there. You know, part of the I guess privilege we have here in this country is the right to speak your mind, the right to want to learn beyond your own personal understanding of things, the right to obtain a skill, the right to interact with other people of different cultures, different religions, you know, some of which or most of which currently we are now taking for granted because now we want to seclude ourselves in little boxes and shut ourselves off from the actual world, And they talk about practicing inclusion, but we want to become segregated somehow. We want to ban things. We want to outlaw things. We want to censor certain talking points or whatever the case may be, and to support a particular narrative. That's not the country that I'm sitting here agreeing with in today's current climate. No, because people have made sacrifices so we can have these certain liberties that are now being restricted due to personal disagreements.
That's never been said by any of them, guaranteed. You know, I know some SF guys that basically they went to what amounts to finishing school. As a group, they decided to go and do this. Learned which fork to use, learned how to pair wine. One of them went on and went to culinary school. And it's part of that idea of being well-rounded and understanding different things makes you a better warrior. Yeah, there's that aspect to it. It also made it to where they could function.
Imagine this. This is a good, for instance, a good example to be made. You know how a lot of people, a lot of Americans, so to speak, were hell bent on talking about this is America. Learn how to speak English. Stop speaking Spanish. Don't do this. Don't do that. And that's when you want to conform to the quote unquote being Americanized, right, so to speak. But what was the harm in learning another language? What was the harm in being bilingual? Because my father had said, he said, I give Hispanics, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, or whoever credit because they'll come over here not knowing a lick of English. Within a matter of a year or two, they know how to speak English along with their native tongue, their native language. You know, so in actuality, who's really the ignorant one? Because when you can expand your understanding, expand your knowledge beyond what you are currently uh, subjected to or being complacent with, to learn how to speak French, Portuguese, Italian, German, Polish, Vietnamese, Mandarin, you know, outside of just the English language, to be versatile. You know, what's the problem with that? Other people learn different languages, but then someone would sit there and argue like, "No, that's not being an American. No, you got to learn English. English is the primary language. English and only English. English only." That's the ignorance.
At one of those embassy dinners, they could blend in. But it's not just about that. It's not just about the stuff that is immediately applied to the job. No education is ever wasted.
Nope.
The idea that learning about anything is bad, that's the sign of an uneducated mind. That's the sign of somebody who is closed off.
I took one thing out from my room.
The true sign of intelligence is being able to entertain an idea
But everything
without
else, I left
accepting
in
it as
there.
fact. The idea that a bunch of politicians want to tell the military what they should and shouldn't learn is ridiculous. The idea is to create people who know a whole lot. That's what it takes.
You know, there's something to be said about this because when talking about law enforcement, and some people had spoke on this, okay? They want Americans to be ignorant, to dumb down a lot of things. When hiring within law enforcement, you can't have a high IQ. That makes you overqualified. Okay, 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 okay. Um, Sorry about that. The downfalls of doing some of these videos and stuff, and I'm tired of starting over and over and over again because I get interrupted constantly. It's very rarely do I have a moment of peace to sneak in that allotted time to react to a video or do a video on a solo premises of, you know, just anyway. But yeah, and it seems like that's the thing. The more dumb you are, the more you're appreciated. The more ignorant you are of certain things, the more you're applauded or rewarded. But if you say, "Hey, I want to have knowledge of this. Hey, I want to learn about that. Hey, I want to be educated on such and such," people looking at you like, "No, no, 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 no." Which goes back to, I hate to say it, but why you think there was a reason why they didn't allow at a certain point in time in history African Americans to be educated? Why was it forbidden? Why was it prohibited? And if you were educated and you was caught trying to learn how to read or write, there was severe consequences to that. So now is that where we're reverting back to? I'm just saying.
Especially when it comes to Green Berets, because they do have to be able to ingratiate themselves into other cultures, a critical part of which is understanding different systems of oppression. Critical race theory, probably something that would be useful framing, because it could be applied to other situations in other countries. Now, the big argument here is that no, this is indoctrination. That's suggesting that the person that is being taught can't entertain an idea without accepting it as fact. I would also point out that no, it's not. Being educated about something is not indoctrination. That's not how that works. Indoctrination is when you have a bunch of politicians telling you what you can and cannot learn. That's
what did I say? Who has a right to do this? Who has a right? Who doesn't have, or who can or cannot be allowed to do such and such? I pointed this out in another video. It's all about who's allowed to do what and who isn't allowed to do certain things. And damn if Beau didn't hit the nail on the head. Preach, Beau.
indoctrination. The United States as a whole has demonized education, demonized intellectualism. And we're seeing the fruits of that effort. We're seeing people get energized.
Goes back to what I was talking about, who controls what. People talk about liberty, people talk about freedoms, people talk about, but there's a catch. You're only allowed to speak on this, but you're not allowed to speak on that. You're only allowed to express this, but you're not allowed to express that. You're only allowed to address this particular subject matter with certain details, but if you get too much in depth, you're censored. You see that when it comes to either the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, points of views on either TikTok or YouTube, and then you allow people so much power to be so vindictive that they'll go and troll your channel, hit dislikes or make false grievances to get you banned. And there's no one as a mediator to interject to say, okay, is this a legitimate case to be, looked at? Or is this just people being petty and bogus, being immature, and weaponize certain policies that are put in play to attack somebody? Because that's what it is now. We got so much balls that we can sit behind a computer or sit behind a phone or sit behind a screen and attack somebody indirectly and do whatever damage that we think can make us feel some kind of way.
Over things that are pretty easy to tell are lies. We're seeing people be manipulated by Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. We're seeing people be tricked into sacrificing themselves on the altar of the stock market. Don't wear a mask, it's not good for the economy. Well, the studies say otherwise. This idea that politicians should determine what you can and cannot learn, what can and cannot be taught.
I've said this before, and I don't know how or what has to happen in order for this to resonate in the minds and the psyche and the consciousness mindset of people. Wake up, stop being sheeps, stop being programmed, stop being conditioned to believe and think that, oh, I need someone to decide my well-being. These politicians are self-interest groups, meaning they are for self. They are not for the people. You see what they had to go through with negotiations and what political games they had to play when it came to the pandemic, and how people were wondering how to eat, how to pay rent, how to do this when they weren't allowed to go to work. There was only essential workers, but they were controlling your fate while they can sit comfortably because they are already financially secure, stable. Meanwhile, those living paycheck to paycheck, had to wait on, can we get unemployment, or can we get some help? Can we get a stimulus check? Can we get this? We aren't allowed to work. We can't go out. We're quarantined. And you see how they played with us. But these are the people who you feel comfortable putting in the positions of power to be our overseers, to look down on us, as if us as a people are incompetent and they are so much better.
That's a pretty dangerous concept. That is the basis of indoctrination. That is how you end up with a populace that is unable to tell fact from fiction, because they're not used to entertaining an idea without accepting it as fact.